So the people that don't know, this is Jose Shorty Torres. He had two fights in the UFC and got cut unfairly from the flyweight division. So right now, where are you fighting?
I fight for Brave Combat Federation overseas, based out of the Middle East.
Okay. So Jose, your last fight was against Blaine O'Driscoll. How did you feel during the fight? Did you feel good?
It's funny. I had a torn ligament actually going in there on my foot, so that was always fun. But I felt fine. Blaine was a last minute opponent at a 10-pound, pretty much four kilogram weight allowance. At the next weight class, just because it was such a last minute notice. But it was a good time, man. Blaine was stylistically a fun fight because I knew he was going to stand and trade compared to my last opponent. Wanted to be a jiu-jitsu guy and butt scooter, and always wanted to play on the ground. And me, I like to stand and bang and put on a show. So I felt good going in there, and it was a fun contest.
Speaking of your last opponent, you drew with Sean Santiella. What did you take from that fight? Did you think anything you could have done better, or do you just think do you blame it on him?
There was a lot of things I could have done better, but I think for me, I had about a year and a half layoff, and it had nothing to do with physical stuff. It was more just mental trauma, dealing with my father's passing and so many other things. So for me, with that fight, I put too much pressure on myself. Trying to dedicate fights to people and do this and do that, and I put too much pressure on myself instead of just going in there and knowing what I do best. I've trained with Sean Santilla before. I know what I can do against them, but for some reason I put too much pressure on myself, and I froze in the moment until that third round where I really started to showcase my skills. But it is what it is. So it taught me a lot, and it taught me to just relax and enjoy the process.
Also, before that fight, you fought Amir Albazi, who right now is a top prospect in the UFC. Looking at you are his only loss as well, I believe. Are you proud of that win, knowing I beat a ranked UFC opponent?
I'm not really proud of that win because I should have knocked him out. I dropped him 3 times in the first round, and I got too lackadaisical. I got too relaxed. It was like, I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to beat him. And he put me in positions, or I let him pretty much put me in positions because I got too comfortable. And I'm like, now I'm making this fight way closer than it should be. I'm more disappointed about that fight. I definitely should have got the finish, but it is what it is. But I am happy to say I've beaten a ranked UFC opponent. But right now with the UFC rankings, especially at flyweight, I believe there's only about 20 guys in the flyweight division. So automatically, if you're 15, you're automatically ranked. So I don't really look at it as those are the best guys in the world, especially after this whole UFC demise with me being cut and a bunch of other guys. There was only about, I think the lowest it got was about 13 guys at the weight class. So automatically you're ranked by default. Even if you lost 3 straight fights in a row and still in the UFC, you're ranked by default. So when it comes to the UFC flyweight rankings, I don't really pay much respect to those.
Fair enough, my friend. So do you ever see yourself back in the UFC?
As of right now, no. I know the UFC has a little, I guess, vendetta towards me. They definitely don't like me because I'm a person that likes to speak my mind. And if I feel oppressed or if I feel that I'm being treated unfairly, I'm 100% going to speak about it. I'm not going to be the typical guy that kisses ass and, has to, do whatever the person says, my boss says. I'm a person that gets beat up for a living. I'm not trying to get beat up mentally as well. And the UFC definitely took a toll on me. And even still today, it's a lot of trauma still coming back because I got demoralized, by them. So for me, it's I get paid very well, and I get really, really respected extremely well with Brave Combat Federation. So with both those being said, I'm perfectly fine where I'm at, but you never know. The future always tells something different.
Just speaking one more thing about the UFC. Recently, Brandon Moreno beat Davison Figueiredo. What do you think of his performance, and do you believe Brandon Moreno is the best flyweight in the world?
I don't believe Brandon Moreno is the best flyweight in the world when it comes to long term. I believe he's the best flyweight in the world right now. I believe stylistically, the first fight he should have lost to Figueiredo, and I'm not saying because I thought the draw should have went the other way. I thought Figueiredo stylistically was much better because he does hit hard, and I've trained with Brandon Moreno before. He does get hit a lot, but he's a tough Latino. I'm Mexican as well. He's a tough Mexican that takes a lot of shots. That's my fighting style. But that second fight, you can tell mentally he was just that much more prepared. And that day he was going to win no matter what happened. And he left with the gold, and I'm happy for him. But stylistically against a lot of other flyweights, I don't see him lasting long at the top. And that's not saying that he's a bad fighter. It's not at all what I'm saying. I respect the guy to the fullest. What I'm saying is, I think against Figueiredo, he was better. It's like Dominic Cruz, or excuse me, it's like Cody Garbrandt versus Dominic Cruz. Garbrandt was just better than Cruz, but he was not better than TJ. And then vice versa. It's like a rock paper scissors thing. So I think I don't know who Brandon Moreno is going to fight next, but I think every fight is going to be a lot tougher for him. I just don't know what the UFC flyweight division has in store next for him.
With Brandon Moreno, because you don't know who he's fighting, apparently it's either going to be Askar Askarov or Davison Figueiredo rematch. How do you see any of them going?
I can see him beating Askar Askarov because Askar Askarov is very wild, and even on the ground, he's not as technical as Brandon Moreno. And I said even before the fight with Figueiredo for the second time, if Moreno takes your back, and I've had it multiple times in practice, if he takes your back, which he's done to me, you're not, even if he doesn't tap you out, you're not going to get out. And he showed that against the Figueiredo fight. I think if Figueiredo goes in there the second time, or excuse me, the third time, especially now after this loss, I think he's going to be mentally that much more prepared and really respect Brandon Moreno, because he knows now that if he gets on the ground, I mean, we see Figueiredo, we're like, man, he's going to be amazing, defeating Alex Perez easily and defeating all the guys before him. Like, Figueiredo's a scary human being. But I think once he starts mentally going, all right, I cannot let this stuff happen, instead of being kind of cocky and letting things happen to him, I think he's very, very unstoppable and a very scary opponent. So I can see Figueiredo winning, but that's going to be a lot closer because I think Brandon Moreno is mentally the stronger athlete.
So Jose, speak to me. When are we going to see you again? Fight again?
That's the crazy thing. So I've been in contact with Brave for months. My fight was March 25th, and we thought I was going to fight again in August, and then late August, early September, late September. It's just COVID overseas is very hectic. So COVID, especially in Europe, Americans aren't allowed in Europe still. There's a travel ban, and all of Brave's events have been on the European side. So I haven't been allowed in the country. So we're trying to find something in Asia or in Russia and stuff like that to where Americans are allowed. And I fight Ali Bagatinov, and he is a Russian. So trying to get the fight in Russia has been extremely hard. So I'm hoping sometime in October, because again, I put my life on the line for this, and I don't train in my home. I don't train in my home city or my home state. I am, hundreds of miles away, 1,000+ miles away. So for me, it's like losing time with family, friends, quality time with people, living a proper life, trying to build a relationship, whatever. So it's for me trying to enjoy the now and trying to train as much as possible to get my goals done. It's just, it's things I can't really control. And COVID obviously has messed up a lot of things for a lot of people. So I can't be mad, but I definitely have to keep my head up and wait for Brave to give me that call.
So in a few weeks' time, Jake Paul's going to be fighting Tyron Woodley. What's your opinion on celebrity boxing, and who do you have for that fight?
I think celebrity boxing is definitely fan entertaining because of the whole celebrity deathmatch we used to watch as kids. I thought that was awesome. But when it comes to now fighting a real class professional fighter, I train with Tyron Woodley. Tyron's part of my team. And he hits hard as hell. Like, he hits extremely hard. I mean, look at his fight with oh man, I can't remember the guy he knocked out where he just sat on his butt. Anyways, and even Robbie Lawler, like, he hits extremely hard. But when it comes to boxing, I think Tyron Woodley is actually a better boxer than he is overall an MMA fighter. Stylistically, he just waits, and he has nothing but that one-shot knockout power, especially if you stand in front of him. For Paul, man, he has to make it a brawl type of fight and a sloppy brawl type of fight, kind of like a bare knuckle boxing style. Because if he stands outside the pocket or in the pocket and kind of too much of at a distance to where Woodley can hit him and hit him clean, I'm telling you, Woodley's going to knock him out. I can see this. I don't see Woodley playing with him. I can see Woodley ending it in the first or second round.
So next month as well, UFC 266 is on. With the main event's going to be Alexander Volkanovski, Brian Ortega. Who do you have for that fight?
That's a tough one. I see this being kind of like a rock, paper, scissors effect. I think, the Max Holloway, Volkanovski fights were tough. And I thought, Holloway won those two fights, but it is what it is. With Volkanovski, he's a tough opponent. But I honestly see Brian Ortega coming back and getting that W over him, and then possibly having that rematch between Brian Ortega and Max Holloway. I think it is going to be a rock, paper, scissors thing where, rock beats, scissors, scissors beats paper, and so on and so on and so on. So I think Brian Ortega is going to get the job done. I think he actually might get a knockout. You know, Volkanovski doesn't really have much of a neck, but he is short and he is in those guillotine positions all the time. But I think Brian Ortega is going to be able to set up a really, really nice knockout.
Also on the card, a legend returns, Nick Diaz, and he's fighting another legend, Robbie Lawler, 17 years on. Do you think Nick Diaz will return and win, or do you think it's going to be too much?
Man, I personally do believe in ring rust. I know Dominic Cruz is the complete opposite. I believe in ring rust. I don't care how well of a champion you were. It's hard to ride a bike the first time doing it after so many years. You know, it's like, oh man, I haven't done this in a while. I'm a little wobbly. I'm a little scared. I think once he starts getting to it, it might be a lot easier. But I think Diaz has been training this entire time, and he looks phenomenal right now. He's been training, obviously helping his brother, helping a lot of professional boxers out. And Robbie Lawler just hasn't been the same after those Rory McDonald fights. You know, so I believe Nick Diaz is going to be able to get the job done by possibly a second round knockout, even possibly first, because he's been in tune with stuff. Robbie Lawler, again, has taken a lot of beatings over the years. And I think that's the only benefit about not fighting extremely hard, especially in fights, is that you're not taking that damage. Your body's not taking a toll. And I think Nick Diaz has the advantage here.
So, Jose, we're going to probably wrap up in a minute, but anything you want to say to your fans before we wrap up?
You know, I do want to say I can't do this alone. That's why I say we will together. We are Team Shorty, and I appreciate everyone's love and support, you know, in different promotions all around the world. And it really does mean a lot. And without people's support, I wouldn't be anything. You know, no one's tuning in. So why am I doing it? So I appreciate it. Definitely, for sure. I have 2 more fights, you know, one against Ali Bagatinov and against Valley Morad if I win this fight. And I'm really excited. Just, you know, guys, be patient with me, be patient with my promotion, and, you know, be patient with COVID in the world, you know, all around happening. So I'm excited to fight again. And again, if people want to follow me, Jose Shorty Torres on IG, and I do a lot of mental series videos as well. We saw, you know, the gymnast from America back out because of mental health problems, and I post a lot of stuff about that as well. So guys, check out my IGTV, and I appreciate the love and support.
Well, Jose, hopefully you can get a win over Ali Bagatinov in your next fight, and we can maybe get you back on after that. And we'll preview what else is going on in the MMA world. So anyway, thank you, Jose. It's been a pleasure, and I will see you next time we talk.
Pleasure, man. Cheers.